Welcome to the third video in this bench project. As you've seen over the last two videos, the first one I showed you how I designed and came up with the concept for this bench and then also created the 2D artwork. The second video we took it on and we added some 3D components to that to really jazz it up a lot. And in this video I'm going to show you how I actually cut, assemble, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the things I had to keep in mind. For instance, what we're going to do right now first off is cut a test part. Now this test part will actually fall in the top of this three-legged assembly, or this three-part assembly, excuse me, for the legs to hold it all together. It's an important piece that needs to fit in there properly, and I need to check all of my allowances. I'll never use this test part in the finished thing. This is just only so I can make sure everything fits together nice and neat and tidy. So let's get to start cutting that right away. So this is a great example of why it's really important sometimes to cut a test part. This is my dowel that I had measured. Obviously it's not the same diameter all the way through because it doesn't quite fit in the hole. So I'm gonna have to add a little bit of allowance to this, and I'll just modify this hole just slightly in this test part to make sure it fits in before I move on to make the real parts in the end. So for this bench project, I had to source my wood from a local big box store. Unfortunately, wood is hard to find right now, so I went there and got what I could. Again, unfortunately, it's not perfect. There's lots of imperfections in it. There's knots in it, there's cracks in it, and I want to avoid those in my final cut. So what I've gone ahead and done is measured up where all of those cracks and knot holes are, and then mirrored them in the software so I can be sure to try to avoid them. Sometimes I can't, but I'm going to try in most cases to get around those. Now, the next thing I have to worry about is how to get this material on the CNC bed so it's straight, because I'm cutting the long way and I want to make sure that everything fits in here perfectly. I'm using the majority of this material for these cuts, so I don't want to waste any at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wood down on the CNC bed. I'm going to line up my end mill that'll be in the chuck of my machine to the corner, and then I'll screw down this corner here. I'm going to run the CNC up the length of the material. Make sure this is nestled up nice and tight to that end mill again, and then I'll put in this screw, and then I can finish up screwing it down to the table. That way, assuming that this wood is semi-straight on that side, and I've tested it already with a ruler, then it should be lined up pretty good. So instead of doing what we did last time and using the end mill to make sure that this board is straight or the next board that I put on the CNC machine is straight, I'm just going to go ahead and screw down this nice straight piece of material to the edge of this and use it as my guide for the next bunch of boards. Okay, so on our little mock-up, we've got a couple things we need to think about. Is we've got this back bit that's going to hold on the back support, and then we also have this little piece underneath that's going to hold our boards that we're going to sit on in place. So now that we've got our legs cut, these ones we're going to keep. We got this temporary little cross brace here that we're going to replace in the end, but it would make sense for us to actually go ahead and cut the support for the seat and then the backs and make sure they fit nice and snug into our legs. And if they don't, then at least I have the chance to go back and fix my next set of legs to make everything fit correctly. So full disclosure, I did make one or two little mistakes with this particular part. This cross brace here that holds the seat boards on, when I got the material here, it wasn't quite the right size, the size that I thought when I initially created my design. So I forgot to edit my file and actually set this board spacer back a little bit, or actually include it in the pocket that took care of this. So luckily, with the help of a saw and a chisel, I actually removed that and the part fits in there perfectly. Also, we talk about the importance of filleting and making sure that you remove those bits so that you can fit your parts together properly. Well, I forgot to move one of the fillets out of the way. Ended up that I had to again go in with a little bit of a chisel and remove that. But I'll fix all of that in the file that you guys are going to get. Now let's have a look and see how it all fits together. So now I need to go ahead and cut the boards for the bench seat. I need 4 of those, and I have 2 pieces of material left. So I need to put 2 boards in each one of these planks. So to do that, it would be easy just to create 2 profile cuts around the outside of these boards and cut them out. Except for these aren't quite wide enough to accommodate those 2 profiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a single profile down the middle with tabs to hold these 2 boards together, and then an outside profile cut. And when I'm all done, once I get done cutting these tabs out, I should have 2 boards out of this piece of material and 2 boards of the other. Now while these are cutting, I'm going to go ahead and do a little sanding because these are going to take a little bit of time. And also, I can't forget to cut the dowels that I need to pin this all together with. So I'm going to get to that too. We're going to use this long board to cut the back of the bench and also the 2 connectors for the leg on top of this board. Now at this point, if you have VCarve Pro, then this will be the last cut that you'll want to do, unless you want to go ahead and add in some 3D content from Design and Make or your own clip art library. What we're going to do is, after we end up cutting all of our profile cuts and pockets, we're going to come back in and we are going to center our machine over the center of the back of the bench and cut in the design that we created in Aspire. So let's go ahead and get on with that. So all the 2D cuts just got finished up. You can look down in here and you'll see that I added in some more tabs. I'll talk about that in a second. But you can see that we have the tendons in here that are going to fit nicely into these mortises here and hopefully secure that back on there nice and tight. Now I added in a lot more tabs than I really needed because now we're going to go in and cut that 3D carving in the center. And I wanted all that support so it wouldn't break loose while I was doing that. Now to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to use this really nice long ruler. And I'm going to mark the center of the back here, and that way I can start my that particular toolpath from the center of that area, opposed to using the bottom corner. I would have had a hard time kind of getting it lined up right, so doing it this way is going to make sure I'm pretty much spot on in the middle. Now that we have all our parts cut and they've all been sanded down, all the tabs removed, we've got all of our dowels cut to the right length or slightly longer than what we need so we can cut them off once we have it inserted in. We're going to go ahead and start to assemble this. One of the first things I need to do though before I start assembling anything is I'm going to need to go ahead and drill 4 holes from the bottom of this so that I can hold on these seat boards. I really didn't want to have to do that, but with the nature of a CNC, I couldn't rejig this up and put my holes in this brace along with the holes in these boards. So I'm going to have to resort to screws, I think, which in the end it might actually be a safer option for right now. Okay, so the next step, now that I've got those holes drilled into the bottom of that support, is to actually get down to gluing this all up. So I'm going to put some glue in the pockets that we made on all the surfaces that I can, and then I'm going to put some glue on these pins, and then we're going to pound them in the holes and then clamp it up, and that should hold it together until the glue sets up, where then I can go ahead and cut off the extra ends of these so everything looks nice and neat and tidy. The last one's done now. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and hold them up, put the back on it, and then we're going to screw in one of the seat boards. And I guess after that, we'll just finish it up with the other seat boards. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. That was a lot of fun to make, and I really appreciated going from the drawing that I had done all the way through to seeing this thing in real life. It's really quite nice. Although even though I like it a lot, there's some things that I would probably change in the end. First of all, I would probably add a bit of support across the front. Not that it's too wobbly, but certainly could be a little bit stronger. I might actually thicken up the legs, find some material so I can make the legs just a little bit thicker. That would be kind of nice. I'd also try and source some better material. As you can see at the top of here, it kind of bows just a little bit, so there's a bit of a gap in there. Now some of these things that we talked about during the whole 3 series video, I've fixed in the end. So things like being able to see these little fillets here, they're all been fixed in the file that you're going to get. Overall, you know what? I think it's pretty nice. Well, I hope you enjoyed those videos. If you have missed any of them, you can go back and check those out at your leisure. There's all kinds of great content in there. If you want this file, you can download it from your V&Co account right now and make it your own, make it even better than what I have. If you do that, please post it socially, make sure you tag us in it. All kinds of nice uses for this bench in the end. I'm sure you could think of tons of different things. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have a comment, please leave it below and I'll get to it as soon as I can. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. Until next time, I think I'll just sit here and relax for a few minutes. See you later.